Morning members, and welcome to this meeting of Tackling Poverty, Inequalities and Housing Subcommittee. The meeting has been live streamed and recorded and will be made available for viewing through our Council's website. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance, mute microphones and switch off your video when you're not addressing the meeting. Right, speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. If you're in the hall, you can do this on your iPhone or iPad. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it is intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any member has to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or write leave in the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting, so we can keep track on whether the meeting is quorate. All members should speak clearly and directly into the microphone when making contributions, and referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose an alternative to a recommendation. Similar to the process now for full council, when considering motions and amendments which are substantive in nature, I will call a recess where necessary so that I may seek government's advice on competency. This is good practice in government's terms and will also provide for governments to be able to collate and circulate the terms of said motion amendment to members in order that they have the opportunity to properly review it. I hope this process makes matters more effective, and I seek members' support in implementing this. We have several important reports to consider today, and in principle we will deal with the business in our usual efficient manner. The first item on the agenda is the sederunt and apologies. Claire, please provide the sederunt and any apologies. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I can advise we've got currently 8 members present this morning, 4 in the hall, being yourself and the Vice Chair, and Councillor Ferguson and Councillor Jameson, and 4 on Teams, being Councillors Blake, Dempster, McFarlane and Wilson. The remaining members currently not present. I've just been advised that Councillor Stevenson is an apology this morning. Thank you.
Councillor Stevenson, an apology. Thank you very much, Claire. Have we at item 2, any declaration of interest or statement of connection? Councillor Lowe.
Just a statement of connection. I am a weekly tenant, but that doesn't really directly affect the report.
Councillor Ferguson.
Just a statement of connection, actually, that Chair of E&I and everything we're discussing today comes under E&I delegations. So, but I'll stay in the meeting, obviously.
Okay, thank you. And you'll have another bite at the cherry at the next committee on that agenda item. Item 3 is the minute of the previous meeting of the 3rd of December 2025. Are members happy to approve the minutes of the meeting held on 3rd December? No dissent, so we're all agreed on that one. Thank you very much. 4, we've got representatives of the Wheatley Foundation here this morning. So can we welcome Alex Lamb, Managing Director at Wheatley Homes South, and Lynn Mitchell, Director of Wheatley Foundation, who are here to provide a presentation to members today on the Wheatley Foundation, and we have a report here in front of us as well. So are members happy to agree that we receive a presentation from the Wheatley Foundation as detailed in paragraph 3.17? Yeah?
Happy, Chair.
Happy there. We're all happy to have you here today, and so who would like to lead? Yeah. Yeah.
That would be myself, Chair, thank you. My name is Lynn Mitchell and I am the Director of Wheatley Foundation. I have a few slides to take you through today, which hopefully you'll know the sight of. Great. So, a little bit of information around who Wheatley Foundation are. So, we are the charitable arm of Wheatley Group. We were established back in 2016, so we will be celebrating our 10th anniversary this coming June. And we were set up with the primary aim to help tackling poverty, inequality and disadvantage within our communities across central and southern Scotland. The foundation is funded by a mix of donations that we receive from some of the housing associations that are part of group, as well as donations from external funders, grant awards and also council contracts that we have secured, and that is primarily linked to employability services that we deliver in Glasgow and Edinburgh. A lot of our approach is very much hinges on our partnership development. So we, over the last 10 years, have worked very hard at developing really strong values-led partnerships. What we are not in the business of is doing things for the sake of it. It's all very much about what impact there is going to be on an individual, on a community, on a place. And that doesn't always involve money. Some of our strongest partnerships are very much where like-minded organisations come together and put the resources that they have, whether that be staff, expertise, or indeed funding, to make a real difference. In terms of how we go about our work, just leading on from the previous slide, what we try to achieve is a very much clear and consistent approach about what we're doing. So a lot of the time that is about responding quickly to hardship when we see that within our communities. And further in the slide deck, I'll come on to a bit more detail around that. How we go about preventing crisis. So COVID was quite a big time for everybody, challenging time. And from the foundation's point of view, we very much went into crisis mode and supported those that were most vulnerable within our communities. But now we're very much moving into a space of more targeted intervention to prevent crisis in the first place. We also focus a lot of our energy and resources around improving life chances linked to education, skills and employment, and looking at how we can enable communities to really shape the services and the support that matters most and that they need within their communities. That's a big focus for us. In terms of our delivering impact, we have grouped these for the purposes of today into 3 key strands. So the first strand being financial well-being. So helping our households stabilise their finances, as I say, to avoid crisis. We are now moving into a space where people are telling us that it's more proactive support they're looking for in that space as well. So we're looking at that, and again, I'll come on to a wee bit more detail in that in the next slide. Life chances, as I've said, is around our education, lifelong learning, skills development, and we do that across all ages, so 0 to 100. There will generally be a programme by which we are supporting members of the local community. And then finally, greener communities. This is a newer area of work for the foundation. We created our Greener Communities programme back in 2023, and again, that was a response from local communities talking about sustainability, but in a really local and low-key way. And what we've found is by taking what matters in a real day-to-day individual basis can make a real difference, and local communities have bought into some of the projects that we've been delivering. And again, I'll provide a bit more detail on that. Before I go on to specifics around Dumfries and Galloway in terms of the region, I would just like to share a very short video, if that's okay, Chair, that summarises the Foundation's work over the last financial year. So it is a lot of our big headline numbers for the previous year, but it's more around the gentleman that you can see on the screen and his story that weaves through the video. So if we could play the video, please.
I had a breakup, and that resulted in me becoming homeless within
Sorry, Chair, I'm
approximately
not
6
getting any
weeks.
sound at this end.
Through the homeless organisation in Glasgow City Council and Wheatley, I managed to get a property, a wee flat of my own, which was great. You know, living in homeless accommodation wasn't the best. When I got the flat, Wheatley then came and told me, look, we can help you get started up here. It's got me my white goods, my washing machine, a fridge freezer, a cooker, a bed, a wee couch, some carpets. They also provided me with a starter pack, which is basically utensils and other wee bits and bobs that you would need, you know, like basic toiletries, cutlery, the cooking equipment, you know, pots, pans. That was great, you know. It was like kind of moving into place, and there's all the basic stuff was there, you know. It was brilliant. Wheatley lead you on to roots being the basic part. You know, it's like they're going to show you what the job entails. They're going to train you so that you'll know what the job entails and so that you'll be safe to do the job, and they change your lives. After the 6 weeks training, you then go into basically a full-time contract, a 1 year contract, which, you know, when it's at the end of that year, you're determined, or you know, I'd imagine it would determine whether or not you're suitable for full-time employment by Wheatley. My housing officer was actually on the Changing Lives programme. You know, so he's made his way through the organisation to become a housing officer. You know, so for him to introduce me to this, you know, so that I can kind of come in and through the Roots programme, on the Changing Lives programme, you know, it's well, this journey worked for him, so he's introduced me to it. It'll work for you as well. And it has been working so far. And it has been beneficial, definitely.
Thank you. So, as I said, my main reason for sharing the video was to show the story of that particular customer. When people are needing support, it's not very often that they come to us with one particular issue. There's generally a range of issues, and the gentleman who featured in the video, as he said, had been homeless. We supported him with a range of measures when he moved into his new tenancy. He then came to one of our employability training programmes and stayed with us for 11 months before he secured a job externally from Wheatley Group, and he's flourishing and doing really, really well. And he is just one of hundreds of customers and people that we support like in that way each year. So in terms of Dumfries and Galloway impact, what that's meant over the last year from a financial wellbeing point of view is that we've had over 2,600 instances of direct support to help reduce financial stress in households across the region. Over 1,000 tenants have been supported to make sure that they are getting access to all of the benefits that they're entitled to, and that resulted in over £3 million financial gains for local people. We have reconfigured our financial wellbeing team to make sure that we can provide a more holistic response to what people were asking us for. So previously we had welfare benefits advisors and fuel advisors. We've now joined forces with those two elements, but made it a bit more proactive. So it is about dealing with bills, budgets and benefits. So the budget section has become an area of focus for us, because a lot of people were explaining to us that managing their money on a day-to-day basis was proven problematic. So there's lots of hints and tips around how to budget for big life events that's going on within that team. The other three projects that are highlighted there, Migrate Start, Starter Packs and Home Comforts, are all about supporting customers within their homes too. Starter Packs and Migrate Start are very specific around supporting customers as they get into their first tenancy. We're very fortunate with those three programmes in Dumfries and Galloway in that we get to deliver them with local third sector organisations, so they are supporting us to deliver these services. Migrate Start is very much that helping hand. Someone moves into their new tenancy. A lot of the time it might be a new village, a new town that they are unfamiliar with. So as well as helping them with any debt issues they might have brought with them, making sure they're getting their benefits, it's also around that community support, that community connection. Do they know the local groups in that area? Are they connected? Are they registered with the GP? Do they know where the nursery is for the kids? So that type of one-to-one mentoring support just in those first 6 months while someone is fitting into their, settling into their tenancy. Linked to that then is also starter packs. So council will be aware, round about 50% of Wheatley Home South lets each year go to customers who've come through the homeless route, which means starter packs becomes even more valuable because a lot of those customers are moving into their tenancy with little or no items. So our starter packs are very much designed as that first day in your home. What are some of the essentials that we might take for granted that you would need? So you would want to be able to move into your house and be able to make yourself a cup of tea. So it is cups, it's mugs, it's pots, it's pans, it's crockery, it's bedding, it's a kettle, it's a toaster, just to make sure that that first step into your property, we're setting you up to be as successful as possible. Alongside that is our home comfort service, which again we deliver with a couple of the recycling charities across the region. Very much supporting new tenants as they move into their home with free sofas, white goods, anything that they need and they are not able to buy, but also supporting existing tenants. So if they are struggling to replace the washing machine, our housing officers can get them access to a free washing machine through the home comfort service. So all pre-loved items getting a reuse, which has allowed us last year to divert 38 tonnes of household items from landfill. Moving into our life opportunities category, Wheatley Works is the term that we have for our employability offering. We created Wheatley Works as a one-stop banner, if you like, to make sure that we weren't overloading frontline staff with lots of information that they didn't know. So effectively, we tried to make the process as easy as possible. If someone is looking for a job, a training opportunity or an apprenticeship, they can be directed to the Wheatley Works team and we will support them. I think what I'm most proud of with that particular team is the holistic support and the way that we don't sheep dip. So it isn't about us having a range of training programmes that we are fitting people into. It's about us listening to the expectations, the aspirations, and opening up opportunities for individuals and letting them see what direction they could actually move in. So each story is very unique within Wheatley Works, but we just missed out on the 200 opportunities being supported last year. So we got to 199. Within that, we also have a bursary programme which was featured in the video, and last year that was 11 people across the region who secured one of our bursaries. So £1,500, it's not a small amount of money, but to help people move into college or university. And we've got all sorts of topics being studied. I think there is a bit of a misnomer that we only support housing or related subjects, and that's not the truth. We've actually got a couple of nurses being supported in this year's bursary programme. And the other misnomer on our bursary programme is that it's only for young people. Actually, across Dumfries and Galloway, with the 11 people there, just over 50% of them are aged over 25. So it's very much supporting people as they're maybe transitioning or have maybe had a family at a younger age and then are moving into college and university. So we are still able to support. We don't have any age restriction attached to that. From a business point of view, what we done a couple of years ago now was looked at our IT equipment and what exactly we were doing with that when it came to end of life. So Wheatley Group as an entity is large in terms of its staff numbers, and we're in the fortunate position that we will be replacing our laptops every 4 years or so. So we saw an opportunity there, again, to be recycling what was still really good quality equipment. So we established our tech share programme, and that's exactly what we do. We secure funding that allows us to refurbish our old staff laptops, and then we give them out free to people who need them for connection, for employability, to get access to their benefits. And actually, in the region, we've also supported a couple of schools and community groups get access to some laptops as well over the last year. In terms of children and young people, very apt for World Book Day today. We have a partnership with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which means we are able to support 0 to 5-year-olds across the region with a free book once a month until they hit their 5th birthday. So very much encouraging that early reading and love of reading, hopefully, and helping with literacy skills at an early stage. And actually, across group, this year we will be celebrating the fact that we will have distributed 50,000 books since we went into partnership with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and a large number of them have been in the region. And finally, greener communities, as I touched on earlier, this has been very much shaped by local people telling us what was of interest to them. So we do focus on active travel, reuse and recycling, and growing projects, again, particularly in the region, has proven to be really popular. So we're able to support small projects within schools and within community groups and local communities to look at what growing and what green space means in their area. All the time promoting that positive community impact, improving the health and mental well-being of individuals, particularly in the growing projects. We're getting a lot of feedback that people being out in the fresh air and being involved in a local community is helping them feel much more connected. Chair, that's the end of my slides, and I am more than happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Lynn, for that. I've got a question from Councillor Ferguson.
Actually, a couple, if you don't mind, Chair. First off, can we share that presentation with the other council members so the whole council's aware of just exactly what you do? That's excellent, thanks. There was a couple of things we were wondering about. So the money for the trust was set in by all the different component parts of Wheatley, yeah? And does that get topped up on an annual basis, or are you working off the interest, or is there a regular contribution from the different strands of Wheatley into the fund every year?
Sure. So the biggest portion of our funding in terms of within Wheatley Group comes from Lowther, and that is our residential marketing or company, sorry. So all of the surplus that they generate is donated to the foundation. So that is the big chunk of funding that we start with, and that donation is made annually. Similarly, each of the housing associations will make an annual donation to us, and that gives us our starting pot, which year on year is probably about 70% of the funds that we spend in local communities. The other 30 we've secured externally.
Thanks. You can ask my second question, Chair, just if I can. I know that Wheatley give decorating vouchers for new tenants, for example. Yeah. Now, does that come from Wheatley core budget, or does that come from the foundation or the trust?
That would come from the local budget.
Right. So it's no relevant here today. So we'll ask Alec that on another day. Okay. So thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions online. I've got Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, Yeah, thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, we couldn't hear the sound on your presentation, so if it could be shared, that would be excellent, because we'd then be able to pick it up again. Having recently visited the Living Well facilities that you have, I can see there's a lot of good work being done by Wheatley, and your presentation was quite impressive. Thank you. A couple of questions. Do you increase the grants with inflation? I know that everybody's saying that inflation is fairly low at the moment, but since 2019, inflation has increased by 30%, so it's quite significant, and obviously there is a cost of living situation at the moment. And how much is invested actually in Dumfries and Galloway? Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose, first off, just to be clear, we are not a grant-giving foundation, so but I absolutely take your point in terms of the partnership work that we do and the organisations that we work with where there may be a service level agreement. So that is something that is reviewed annually. We are absolutely not in the space where we are looking to be delivering services that would be at the disadvantage of our partner organisations. So all of our funding strategies in terms of securing external funding is always on the basis of covering the total costs of the organisations that we are working with to deliver the programmes. In terms of the financial support for the region, I wouldn't have an exact figure, and I wouldn't want to state it, but I will come back to the committee with a number on that.
Thank you.
And if you could provide a link for the video, we could pass it out not just to members of the committee, but to the whole council.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I've got Councillor Dempster online now.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Lynn and then I have a complaint. Question, Lynn. Your starter park intrigues me, where your tenants occasionally are supported with pre-loved items. Mm-hmm. Where do you get them? Where are they stored? How are they distributed? And more importantly, maybe, how can individuals donate? Because I'm quite sure there'll be a number of folk emptying houses, etc., that won't know there's an opportunity to support that programme. So can you give me that first, and I'll come back with my complaint?
Sure. It's a great point. We actually in the region deliver starter packs in partnership with Shacks, who are a local reuse organisation. So yeah, everything that goes into the packs are items that have been donated directly to Shacks. So in terms of the local promotion of being able to donate to Shacks, it is done by them. But you're absolutely right. It's something that we're looking at across the board in terms of how do we use our size and scale to make sure that people right across the region are aware that they can donate that type of item. I think sometimes with recycling, people assume it's sofas and it's white goods and it's the larger items, and no, everybody's aware that it is the crockery, it is the cutlery that people maybe change over a bit more frequently that can be donated. So it is something that we're looking at, but Shacks would be the organisation that deliver that on our behalf, so donations could be made to them.
That's great, Lynn, and I'll take it up with them and get some advice from them. Now to a complaint, if you like. Okay. Page 19, 4.6, you talk about addition to new homes. You've previously announced it will invest £39 million, including 14 million in this deal, and that's for improving homes and neighbourhoods. So the question is about neighbourhoods. I have two blocks of garage units that are abandoned, derelict. I've been pestering Wheatley for years to take them down because of their blight on my community, one of the upper Nisdale communities in Sankirk. I'll not go beyond that other than saying I would want to speak to either you or one of your colleagues offline about this because it's been going for far too long. If you could maybe tell Jamie who's the most appropriate person for me to contact, I can get in touch with them. Because one of the stories I got was that you couldn't knock them down because they were part of the value placed on the stock when it was transferred in 2001, and that you need to pay back to the Scottish Government. And if that's the case, the housing minister says about 5 miles away from me, so I'll take it up with her and see if I can do something to support you, because they're a blight on the community. They've not been used for 10 years. You're not going to do anything with them, and to be frank, they just shouldn't be there. So I wouldn't expect a reply today, but if you can let me know who I might want to speak to on that particular issue offline and take it forward, I'd be grateful. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
Garage sites are an issue right across the region, so who would like to come in? Alex?
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to answer that question. Certainly in part, thank you for your question, Councillor. With regards to the lockups and garage sites across the region, there has been a major scoping of works with regards to the asset in its entirety over the past financial year. That is nearing completion. We will be taking that information back to our own RSL boards in terms of the future of these lockups. I think it goes without saying that, you know, they are a drain on finances. It was an inheritance for Whately Homes South, and some of the garages are in a state of disrepair beyond their serviceable life. As committee and members will know, demolition also requires a strategy, a financial strategy around that. And having just completed our full asset appraisal for the homes that we own and manage, the garages is the next project. So that's due for completion. And I would be more than happy to update members in the region at the appropriate time, potentially at quarterly updates. But hopefully that answers that question. But more than happy to take that offline in a separate meeting if you wish, Councillor. Thank you, Chair.
How about that, Councillor Dempster? Yeah.
I'm very grateful to that, and I'll do that, Chair, because it's been far too long. They're dangerous, they're protected by heritage fencing, and they don't enhance the estate that Whately owns. So an offline meeting would be absolutely appreciated. Grateful to you for that, and I'll catch up with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jimison,
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. A compliment. The work you're doing in education, skills and employability seems really good and really on point. My query is, do you work with DG Works and the local employability partnership?
Yes, we do. We've not quite got the same relationship that we maybe do have in Glasgow and Edinburgh, but I do think that's a timing issue. We've obviously been operating in Glasgow and Edinburgh for a lot longer, so we have built up that trusted relationship in terms of the expertise. But the makeup of how employability services work in those two local authorities is also different to here in the region as well. But we're absolutely in and around those.
I would be pleased if you did make inquiries about that, because it's very much in line with what DG Works does, especially for the offering of education, skills and training to young people and older people that are living in poverty, etc., etc. It's a fantastic way of taking them out of that poverty cycle. So you seem to be on the same page. It would be a shame not to, if there's a possibility of collaboration, it would be really, really useful.
Absolutely, we would be delighted to move forward on that from our current position. So yes, we are actively trying to do so.
Yeah. That'd be good if we could get in touch with well, Harry. He's the top man in that team. So, so I would, if you get your heads together, that would be brilliant.
Thank you.
you mentioned greener communities earlier. How would the local community be able to get involved in that project stream?
So some of is coming through our frontline colleagues, so our housing officers or our Stronger Voices officers, where they are out in communities listening to what's going on, and there's conversations around we would like to improve, we would like to try this. So that's how some of the local greener communities programmes have come to fruition. But as I say, in the region, growing seems to be the one that's picking up the most traction.
Thank you very much for that. Is there any other questions? Alex?
I would be happy to add to that, if I may, Chair. Just in addition to the greener communities that our customers enjoy, I think what's safe to say is across the region there's a lot of pride in keeping it tidy. So what we've been able to do as an organisation is involve all of our contractors very recently. So all of the contractors that work with us from one end of the country to the other have given up their time to work on individual projects across the full of the Wheatley footprint. But in terms of Wheatley Homes South, next week starting, we have 65 volunteers, I understand, and 11 projects that are being addressed. So from litter picking to front garden tidy-ups, anything that's required around flower beds, etc. So the community have been very forthcoming and volunteering to get involved with those contractors. So again, it's not just about the greener side of it, but keeping the place tidy as well, Chair. So I just thought that was an important point to add to that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fergus wants to give in again.
Yes, please. Thanks very much, Chair. I'm pleased to hear about this stuff. Actually, I was at a presentation, I think, with Dumfries Shine last night. I know you're partners in that, so thank you for that. One thing's coming up, though, is over the last 5-10 years or so, we've, as a council, have given out probably thousands of litter pickers, the physical picking up things. They're probably stored in people's houses, and there's a kind of plea going out, if you've got them and you're not needing them, can we put them into a central point? So I'm wondering, as one of the partners, if you could actually, for the tenants, for example, Alex, say if you've got some, or in the groups you work with, are they available for others to borrow, or whatever it might be? Because we've got plenty of bags, apparently, for the rubbish, but we've not got enough pickers to go round. And that's from Stranraer to Langham, so it's not just in Dumfries. So there's a real shortage of these mechanical picker things, you know, to keep people safe when they're picking stuff up. Yep.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. I'd be more than happy to personally see those wider communications. Councillor, thank you.
You made progress, Councillor Ferguson. That's good. That's good. So, Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, great to hear about the projects. I wondered if it's possible to make the local elected members aware of the projects that are going on in their areas, because we kind of like to connect with our communities and actually go and support ourselves.
Absolutely, we can share that after the meeting. That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so I don't have any further questions, unless you would like to say in conclusion, or?
No, thank you very much for having it and for listening. And if there are any follow-up questions that occurs, I'm sure I'll be able to access them and be able to answer them for you. But thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. So thank you very much, Lynn and Alex, for coming along to share the impact of the Wheatley Foundation. I think you're making a great contribution to the effort that goes into tackling poverty, not just in this region, but across quite a lot of parts of Scotland. So thank you very much for that. I think, especially in the financial well-being and increasing life chances for your tenants and improving greener communities, I think that's great. So thank you very much for coming along and sharing what you do with us. Thank you. Members, we've already agreed to have the presentation. The second recommendation is to consider the outcomes achieved by Wheatley Homes South and the Wheatley Foundation to date as detailed in the report and presentation. You happy that we have agreed and considered? Yeah? Okay. So item 5 on the agenda is Thistle Grove Gypsy Traveller Site report by Head of Economy and Environment. Jamie Little is here to assist members if members have any questions. Anything you'd like to add to the report, Jamie?
No, thanks, Chair. Happy to go to questions.
Right, so I'll open the debate up to members' questions. There's quite a lot of detail there on the efforts which we're trying to make in Scotland to make gypsy accommodation suitable for for their needs. So, any questions you would like to raise, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks very much, and morning, Jamie. There's a lot mentioned here of the housing regulator, and I appreciate the reporting back from it stems from 2 previous council decisions. a departmental decision and a full council decision. So I suppose really what we're looking for is confirmation that we're in constant contact with the regulator and they are comfortable about our pace going forward. I think that's probably the best way of putting it.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Ferguson. So, yes, we're in regular contact with the Scottish Housing Regulator regarding the Thistle Grove Gypsy Traveller site. The communication is at least on a quarterly basis. We've been asked to provide through our assurance statement and the regulator's review of Dumfries and Galloway Council a quarterly update on progress. There is more informal communication in between those times as well. Effectively, they're seeking assurances that we are making progress towards achieving the minimum site standards, and they're keen to understand how we are progressing that. So the information that's contained within this report has been shared with the Scottish Housing Regulator. They're aware of the robust process we're trying to put in place to identify further sites at this stage, and they also understand that we're continuing to engage with residents on the Thistle Grove site in particular. So the communication is regular, and it's in written form. We aren't being requested to meet with them specifically. They're content with written updates at this stage. Following this committee, I will be giving them a further update just to advise them on any points that are made by members today.
Thanks, Councillor McFarlane. Councillor Ferguson. Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for the report, and it was quite comprehensive. However, this is something that's been dragging on for quite some time, and it'd be really, I'd be really keen to find what sort of progress we're making on a more regular basis. Is it possible that we can get on top of this to a point whereby we're getting regular reports coming perhaps through E&I or even just straight to this subcommittee? Because I think we've got a group here that feel marginalised, and if we're not addressing it appropriately, then I think that there was some justification in the fact that we're perhaps not addressing it appropriately. Thanks.
Jamie.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor McFarlane. In terms of regular reporting, we're absolutely happy to do that and to keep members up to speed with the work as it progresses. It's obviously a significant priority for the Economy and Environment Service and for colleagues. This committee in particular does have the scrutiny role delegated to it around the provision of Gypsy Traveller services, including the sites. So if members were content, I think it would be absolutely correct for a regular report to come back to this committee to advise on progress.
Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah. There's a large slice of the capital programme. Andy, you want to come back?
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. And that's the thing we've agreed as a council that we're going to invest a significant amount of money in this. I think it really is important that we get it back. So, I mean, what I would like to get is some sort of indication of how regularly we could expect that. Would it be at every subcommittee or every other one or so, just as a means of trying to monitor it? And actually, could we make it a recommendation so that we've got a record of that and we can capture that? Thanks.
There's a proposal, Jamie, that we could do just to keep members informed. Like, what's the next stage that we're going to be informed at?
In terms of the work we're doing, what we've set out to members in this report is it's really around those steps towards other site identification. So there's quite a significant piece of work that needs to be undertaken there to go through that process. What I would suggest, if members are content, is that we look at a 6-monthly report that comes back to this committee to provide an update. If members are minded to have something different, more than happy to discuss that, obviously. What may suggest is that during that period of time, we can keep in contact with members separately as well, just to ensure that if there are any issues with that 6-monthly reporting schedule, we're advising them at the earliest appropriate stage.
Yes, obviously, if we keep us informed, but if we have a report back in 6 months, that would be good. Thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Yeah, it's also programmed to give them back to E&I on a regular basis as well. And as the parent committee for this subject, I would suggest that's probably the most apt way of doing it, but then inform us here on a 6-monthly basis of progress through E&I. And I'm kind of looking at Jamie just to nod it. I know it's not in the March agenda, but it probably progress report, the next one after that, Jamie, would that be fair?
We're happy to provide that, yes, that's not a problem.
That would be the first real opportunity to bring back a detailed report, Chair, I would suggest. And then we can then review that E&I, and then it can come back here again to make sure that E&I are doing their job properly. So I'm comfy with that if you are.
Very happy with that. Councillor Jimison?
Yes, thanks. I'm just wondering, this subcommittee is looking at tackling poverty, inequalities in housing. And I'm sure this is happening, but are we taking enough cognizance of the residents' position? Because it is taking a long time. Are we ensuring that the residents are kept informed and they're not disadvantaged any more than they need be? So I'm sure we are. I just want some assurance that that's happening, because in the bigger scheme of things, we can talk about all the regulations, all the rest of it, but it's the folk on the ground that are probably, these are the ones that will be impacted most. So it's just getting some sort of insurance on what is being done to keep them informed and make sure that their living conditions are adequate. Thank you.
Jamie?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Jimison. It's a really important point around the engagement with the residents, and we have a Gypsy Traveller Liaison Officer who's out on site at least twice a week and can be more regularly involved as well. We have been involving the residents in terms of the design process as well, up to date, and they've been heavily engaged with, and we are trying our best to keep them informed. It's reasonable to say that they are disappointed that there has been a pause put in the project, but they understand the reasons for that. In terms of satisfaction though on the site, it is high. Customer satisfaction is reported back to the regulator on an annual basis as fairly standard practice. And site satisfaction is fairly high. We're relatively satisfied with that. We're also seeing that the residents have been on the site for a significant period of time. But within our site assessment process, we're absolutely taking into account the wishes of the residents. They've been very clear in their feedback that they like being part of the community in Cullen. It has the benefits of being close to the primary school so that the kids there can access it relatively easily. And that's something that we'll give appropriate weighting to in terms of our site identification. So absolutely the members' views, the residents' views are being taken account of. And we are continuing to engage with them and keep them up to speed with works. It's been a fairly informal engagement directly through our Gypsy Travel Liaison Officer up until now, but that's something that as we move into the next stages, we need to probably carry out some more formal engagement with the residents.
No, thanks, Jamie. That's excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Councillor Jimison. Any further questions?
Yeah, if I can just come in for a second, Chair. Jamie, through you, Chair, the reference group, liaison group, whatever you call it, what other agencies are involved in that? Just because most people, I know because I've been involved with it, as you know, but most people haven't been involved. So how wide is that spread of statutory agencies, for example, in that liaison group?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Ferguson. So in terms of Gypsy Travel Liaison Group, we have a number of other organisations that attend, including colleagues from within the council. So we have NHS, in particular, the health worker who visits the site, particularly to support the children and any of the expectant mothers on the site. Education are involved in our discussions. We're also involved to Thorold Community Council. We have invited the Old Luce Community Council as well, due to the site that's out near Glen Luce. They don't attend, but they have got the open offer to come along to the site so we can ensure that we're also involved in the local community. And then we have internal colleagues from a number of different departments, as I mentioned, education, roads are part of the group, and community safety, and obviously our own housing services are part of that as well. I'm more than happy to provide a full list of the membership of the liaison group at this moment in time. Would say as well the liaison group is not a fixed group. It does shape depending on the particular work that we're doing at that time, and we can bring new people into it if required.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions, so we'll go to the recommendations. So members are asked to note, 1, the work carried out to ensure a robust site identification process can be developed and followed, with the intention of enabling the council to consider options for meeting Gypsy Travellers' minimum site standards for residents of Thistle Grove, section 4.7. 2, the expansion of the Thistle Grove Project Board to include additional officer support with the latest strand of work, section 4.7. And 3, the expectation of Scottish Housing Regulator that progress is made on ensuring the site meets the minimum standards, section 4.8. Are we all happy to note 1, 2 and 3? Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, Chair, sorry. I thought we were going to put in a recommendation that we got the regular reviews and updates from Jamie as well.
We're going to record that as an action point, Andy, if that's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, you've recorded that?
Yes, Chair, certainly. I've got it as an action, but members reminded it could be minuted as well. So.
Are we happy to add the recommendation that we receive a report back in 6 months? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 6. The Fishing Gallery House and Regeneration Fund, report by Head of Economy and Environment. There's a number of important initiatives here. Jamie Little is here to assist members if members have any questions. I will open it up to debate and I'll bring in the Vice Chair, Councillor Lowe.
Thank you very much. I've actually over the last week had a direct involvement with someone who's actually engaging with this programme, and actually it's kind of more the questions that he's asking. So I really welcome the spread of the funds for the properties that are currently fully empty, those that need to be brought up to standard. But once they are brought up to standard, what are the criteria and restrictions going to be, and how long they have to be rented for, what they can be rented for in terms of affordability relating to local housing alliance, etc. Because actually these are questions that I've got somebody asking me about. I'm really keen to do this, but I just need to know what I'm letting myself in for.
Thanks, Councillor Lowe. So in terms of the restrictions that are placed on what was an empty property, will, if members agree recommendations at this committee and Economy and Infrastructure Committee, will be more focused on empty homes. The grant requirements expect that the property, if it's going to be a private rental, that it's let for a period of a minimum of 5 years, and that it is let at the local housing allowance rate. Effectively, we're securing that through conditions that are placed on the property. So at the point of final grant payment, the expectation is that is met for a period of 5 years, and we are asking those owners of the properties to also prove that to us on an annual basis. So initially, a bit of an operational one here, initially the grant has been withheld for up to 50% of the sum that they're eligible for until they've been able to prove that somebody is living in the property and that the tenancy agreement is at the local housing allowance rate. And then following that final payment, we will continue to monitor that for a period of 5 years.
Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you for that, Jamie. That's reassuring. Really just to ask about the processes that we do have, because we recently had a situation whereby we had actually offered a grant, and it was only through a set of circumstances that we understood that it hadn't been actually applied in the appropriate way, and understand it that's been claimed back or repaid and what have you. So really just looking for that reassurance that we do have sufficient robust systems in place to make sure that whenever we do pay out a grant, that we are getting it delivering what it is that we set out for it to deliver in the first place. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor McFarlane. So legislatively, when we're applying conditions onto a property, which we do by registering on the title deeds, we can only do that at the point that final grant payment being made. What we do during the process up until the final grant payment being made is continue to communicate with the applicants on a regular basis. We're fortunate that the one incident that's been referred to there has very much been a one-off, But we do have very robust processes in place to try and ensure that the issues do not crop up. There's ongoing monitoring by officers to ensure that the grants are being used appropriately. And what we've also been able to do recently, as members have been advised, is recruit an empty homes officer, and part of their role will be to continue to monitor that the grants are being used in the appropriate way. What we have also done is, on the back of the issues that have arisen, is we ourselves have undertaken some immediate steps to try and beef up that process effectively, ensure that there's clear communication between the relevant departments so that we can be made fully aware at the earliest instance of any problems that might arise. We've also will be coming back with some further information on that at the Economy and Infrastructure Committee regarding an audit of the process. We've been working really close with our internal audit colleagues just to ensure that if there are any areas for improvement and further strengthening of our processes, we're able to put those in place swiftly and also to be able to act upon those. So fortunately, it's been an isolated incident, but we're taking it very seriously to ensure that we are using funds in the most appropriate way.
You happy with
Thanks,
that
Chair.
reassurance, Councillor
Yeah.
McFarlane?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamie.
Any others people want to come in with the question? We're happy with the report and are ready to go to recommendations. Okay. So let's go to the recommendations. Members asked to agree to recommend to the Economy and Infrastructure Committee 1. The allocation of 900k from the council tax on second homes budget to establish a Dumfries and Galloway Housing Regeneration Fund, paragraph 4.1.2. 2. To allocate 300k from the Dumfries and Galloway Housing Regeneration Fund to support housing developments that will contribute to the regeneration of town centres, as for paragraph 4.2. And 3. To allocate 300k from the Dumfries and Galloway Housing Regeneration Fund to provide grant assistance for owners of empty homes across the region to help bring them back into use as affordable housing, subject to the detailed criteria of paragraph 4.3. And 4. To allocate 300k from the Dumfries and Galloway Housing Regeneration Fund to provide grant assistance to tackle below tolerable standard properties across the region, subject to the detailed criteria in paragraph 4.4. So we have to agree 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, thank you very much. 7 is any other business deemed urgent by the Chair due to the need for a decision. Have not been notified of any urgent business. So can I thank you all for taking part today and asking the questions of officers and our guests today. So thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you.